Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of Kahoot 101. This is Zainab. I'm going to be your host today, and I have Andy joining in as our moderator on the chat windows. We're going to start off with playing a fun Kahoot in one of our new game modes called Robot Run. So I selected this game from our Discover tab, which is full of a bunch of material that you can use ready to play. You can use it as it is, or for a lot of these files, you can create a copy and edit them to make changes that you need, or go ahead and customize them to your company or business requirements, maybe even brand them a little bit differently. I'm just going to go ahead and use it as it is. And whenever you hit the start button, most of the people that are using Kahoot will go in and hit the start button on classic mode. But this page is a little bit different than what it used to be. And there are a bunch of options at the bottom. So I'm going to go through these additional timed game modes and pick which one I want to use. It's back here in the front called Robot Run. It's one of our newer game modes, and it has options to be played for 3, 5, 7, or 10 minutes. And the system recommends that you play it for 5 minutes based on the number of questions that the Kahoot file has. So I'm going to go ahead and select 5 minutes. I'm actually going to cut it down to 3. And then hit start. Up to 40 players can join this game mode. Any of the Kahoot files that you have can be used in this version, so you don't have to create a new game. Just existing Kahoot files that you already have for, let's say, maybe your training or meetings that have a bunch of questions. You use that and just launch it in the Robot Run mode, and people will be able to join in and experience a completely different way of interacting with that information. If you click on these big numbers for any of the games that you're launching, you can go ahead and automatically copy the game pin. So I clicked on the numbers, it copied the game pin. I've thrown that in chat, and you can click on that link to join the game, or you can scan this QR code. I highly encourage you to join the actual Kahoots because that's the best way of learning how this experience works. Someone has asked in the Q&A session, are these games available for anyone that has a Kahoot account? And yes, at this time, these games or additional game modes are available for all of our Kahoot users for a limited time, so everybody can experience them and find out if this is something that they will enjoy using for their teams. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with the 3 people that we have right now, but the game pin's available. So the best way to learn through this webinar is to actually join the Kahoot game. So this is going to be a fun one, and then we'll do one more, which is the actual demo of the product. So I highly encourage you to, if you're just sitting this one out and watching this, definitely join the other one. So this is how it works. You have a little avatar that's going to be on the game screen, and you are part of the crew that's being chased by an angry robot, and you're going to collect boost points by answering questions. So you will get questions that are part of your Kahoot file, and you're going to answer them. The more questions you answer correctly, you're able to boost and run away from the robot. And then there are times when there are safe zones on the screen that are little green boxes, and you want to be in the safe zone before the timer runs out so that you're safe and you don't get electrocuted or eaten by the robot. It's very much like the smaller cell phone games or mobile app games that people have, but the fun part is that you're interacting with that is full of information from your training. So now on your screen, you can see a question. Because the host screen and player screens are different, I'm also logged in with my screen, so I can see the questions as the host also. Because I want to experience what you're seeing, but you'll notice that my question might be different from the question that you're seeing on your screen. We're all moving at different pace. So everyone can just move at their own pace. When you answer a question correctly, you get boost points. A lot of this information I have no idea about. I'm just answering questions. But the other good thing about this game mode is that once you answer a question incorrectly, it will show you what the right answer was. And therefore, now you have that information. So we clearly weren't fast enough in answering our questions, and that made us be a little bit slower, we weren't able to run away from the robot. So what's happening is you want to have your players focused on answering questions correctly. And as they're answering questions correctly, they're able to run faster or get away from the monster. As a learner, so apart from the fun that you have playing the game, as a learner, what's happening is that I am looking at these questions and I'm seeing information that I may not know for sure. The first time that I answer a question, I might get it wrong. But the next time I answer the same question, because the system's told me what the right answer is, now I'm able to get it right. And I'm going to walk away from this having learned some new information. So not only is this a great way of reviewing the training that you've done maybe yesterday or wrapping up the day with some of the information, it's also a really good way of learning new information. It helps with memorization. So like Sav on the screen just boosted, so they're running a little bit faster and they're getting away from the robot right now. This is where you get a little bit of a break. You get away from the answering of questions and you just go ahead and you want to move into the safe zone. As long as you're in the safe zone, you're not going to get electrocuted. Well, Snowy just got in there right in time. So now you're taking a little bit of a break from the answering of questions and just playing the game, having fun with the materials, or sorry, having fun with what's happening on the game. It's a little bit of a challenge. You can't cross the barrier in the middle, so you have to make sure that you run really fast and get in the safe zone around the barrier. And then you're also able to use this little joystick kind of cursor that appears on your cell phone screen. Or you can use up and down arrows on your computer. And then there's this little bit of ranking at the end, calling out who answered the questions correctly, who was running the longest distance. So energizer or boosts are collected when you answer questions correctly. So MV did the best in answering the questions correctly. And then this person was the fastest to reach safe zone. They were kind of paying attention to the game, which means that they were able to get to the safe zone quickly. And then the longest distance reached were this person at the top. So it kind of acknowledges that you were doing well or not well in the game at the end. I'm going to cross out of here. Just wanted to have you guys experience one of these additional game modes and show you that they're available in your account. A lot of the times players or Kahoot hosts are starting games and then they're so used to choosing the classic mode that this gets a little bit ignored, but it is there in all of your accounts and you can play this with your teams anytime you want with any of the Kahoots that you want. You don't have to create any special files for this. This was one that I had just picked off of the Discover tab and used it in that specific answer mode. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our Kahoot 101 training session today and hit start. This is going to be an interactive training session. We'll talk about how to navigate through the Kahoot platform, how to create and host Kahoots, and just have a little bit of fun while we're learning about Kahoots by answering random questions that are going to pop up on your screen. Again, if I click on these big numbers here, I will automatically copy the game link. I'm going to paste that in chat. So if you're using your computer or you'd rather join through the link, you can do that. Otherwise, you can go ahead and scan this QR code. Because this is a regular classic Kahoot mode, it's not timed. We can play this for as long as we want. The session will last up to 4 hours. So I can leave this unlocked and people can continue joining in even after I have started a game. Which is different from the other game modes because they are timed. So it's better to have everybody join in at the same time. But I'm going to leave this unlocked, start the game, and then everyone will be able to continue logging in because the game pin is available at the bottom of the screen and the link is available in chat. I'm hitting start, but I know that there are 7 other people on the call. So please go ahead and join the game because, again, the best way to learn about Kahoot is to experience it as a player because you'll be asked all of these different type of questions. You'll get to interact with this, and then also you're gonna be able to host more effectively because you've been a player, so you can navigate what the player's experience is going to be while you're building a Kahoot. So welcome to Kahoot 101. This is part of our webinar series. This happens every fourth Wednesday of the month and focuses on getting new users started with Kahoot. Kahoot is used by over 97% of the Fortune 500s, along with a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. To get us started, please find yourself on the world map. You're going to see a map on your screen and a pin at the center. You can move the image around, so drag the image to make sure that the pin falls in the right spot. For example, if I was dragging it, I would put it somewhere here because I'm in Texas, Austin. So 2 of our players are in the US and there is one person in Canada. It's always so interesting how the pin falls because it looks like you're in the middle of the ocean, which I hope you're not because it's too cold. Another question for you. This one is poll type. The last one was drop in. How well do you know Kahoot right now? So if you were to say are you a new user? You've only heard of Kahoot. So 2 people have played Kahoot and 1 person has hosted it and played. So been on the both sides of the Kahoot experience. Do you currently have a Kahoot subscription? This is one that gives me an idea of whether or not you will have access to the features that we're talking about. Perfect. So everyone should have access to most of the features. And if we come across something that you don't know, or you feel like it's not in your account, then you can contact us and you can put that information for contact in the chat space. This is one of our newer question types called slider. What is the coldest temperature ever recorded in the US? Negative Fahrenheit. This is really fun because it's a different way of interacting with the information. You could have done a quiz, like every question can be asked as a quiz, but this one's specifically for numbers, and it gives you this nice game show experience when the question is being answer is being displayed. And 70 is the right answer. Somewhere in Montana, negative 70 Fahrenheit was the lowest temperature ever recorded back in the 50s. So nobody got that answer right, but I wasn't expecting anybody to get it because minus 70 in the US. I'm glad I didn't live through it. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing a live training on how to navigate through the platform, how to create and host Kahoots live as well as self-paced, and hopefully we'll have some fun while we're going through all of that information. One more question for you. This one's open-ended. What are you hoping to get out of this training? Anything in particular that we're hoping to learn, or what prompted us to join the training session today? This is an open-ended question type that you're experiencing now. This gives you 250 characters to type out your answer, and it's a really good way to get input from your audience that you can either store for later because it automatically gets saved in your reports, or you can display the answers on the screen and spark a good discussion with the audience in the moment or in the live training. So as we're going through this, you're experiencing all of the different question types that Kahoot has to offer so that you can make your decision on how you want to pose your questions once you build your own Kahoot. And then if you let me know what specifically you're looking to learn out of the session, I can make sure that our learning goals are met. So if I was deciding to store these answers for later, I would just skip. But I want to show them because we want to talk about this. So looking for loads of ideas for fun. Well, we started off with the new game modes, and I think those are the best options or new options for fun. Tips for engaging learners. Prime tip, use a lot of different question types. If everything is a quiz, it's not that fun. So use a quiz, then a slider, then a scale, mix it up. And then someone says, I just got my Kahoot account, want to learn how to use it. So now we have a quiz type question for you. When you're looking at quiz type questions or answers that have a right or wrong, like questions that have right or wrong answers, they have points associated with it. What is the winter solstice? Hottest day, shortest day, longest day, cloudiest day of the year? What is it? Two of us knew the answer, which was the shortest day of the year. So for the two people that got the answer right, Toots scored higher than Snowy. Why? You both got the answer right, but why did one person score higher than the other? Throw your ideas in chat and we'll take a look at whether you were able to guess that correctly. So with Kahoot, you can engage your audience in two ways. Multiple things that you can do with Kahoot, but engaging and presenting primarily what you're doing. And then for engaging, you can either test their knowledge. So we have 5 different question types for testing knowledge. You've experienced quiz. We just did that with the winter solstice question. So you can have multiple choices. The choices can be anywhere between 2 to 6, and they can be words or images that people can pick from. So you can even upload images that people can pick as an answer. True or false is pretty self-explanatory. In type answer, we give you a little space with 20 characters and you tell us what the right answer is going to be. And then the audience has to type it in and we can match against it. But the key that you give us, like if the answer was, if it's the same question about winter solstice and the answer was shortest day, even if somebody said just shortest or like a day, like any other acceptable response, you do have the option to check those responses in real time and select another answer as correct. Like if somebody spelled it incorrectly, but they were still giving you the right response, you can check that in real time. So you give us a key and we match against it to award points, but also you can accept other answers as correct. You experience slider with that 70-degree question. It is based off of numbers, so very good anytime the answer is a specific number. You can choose for people to have a little bit of margin of error. So I could have been off by 10 degrees and still earn some points, or you can choose to be very on the dot and ask for exact answers in order for people to earn points. And the last one here is puzzle, where you can arrange, you can have a question that may be a process or a chronological order or larger versus smaller, and then it's arranged in the right order when you present the answer to the system, but when it's shown to the audience, it's jumbled up and they need to put it back in the right order. All of these test knowledge type questions have points associated with them, which means that you can choose for the audience to earn either standard points, which is 1,000, or double points, which is 2,000, if they provide the answer correctly. And the points are based off of not just right or wrong, they're based off of time. So Missy guessed right. Someone scored higher on that last question, even though 2 people had presented the answer correctly, because that person was faster than the other. So points decrease linearly over time. And if you are taking a long time to answer, then even if you have the answer correct, you'll have lower points. The other section is collect opinion. So you have testing knowledge type questions and collect opinion questions. Collect opinion questions do not have points, and they're primarily used for gathering input from the audience, like poll and open-ended and drop-in that you've all experienced already throughout the training. And then for presenting data, you can go ahead and upload slides from PowerPoint, Google Slides, Canva, any other tool that you're using for building your presentations, or you can build quick little slides inside Kahoot. So this slide is built inside of Kahoot. It has a header, an image, and some text at the bottom. We do have a text character limit at 250. So if you wanted to have more text, it's always best to create your presentation in PowerPoint and then upload it. I love the idea of having your PowerPoint inside Kahoot, because if you're presenting and you're wanting to use a Kahoot anyways, you'll have to jump between 2 platforms. You'll present on PowerPoint and then you'll come to Kahoot and ask questions here, or you'll have to wait till the end of the day to play a Kahoot, or go through several modules, finish that, and then play through a Kahoot game. So if you import Kahoot PowerPoint into your Kahoot file, then you're able to move your slides around and pepper questions throughout the presentation. So you can present a little and then a question pops up, present a little bit more, and it makes it more engaging. Once you're done creating your Kahoot, you can either start live, which is what we're doing right now. It's a real-time engagement. We're all present here and we can engage at the same time with the content. Or you can assign, which is a self-paced assignment, and people will receive an email or a link from you that they can play a Kahoot on whenever they have time, and they can move at their own pace. You can choose to have the timer turned off, so there's no pressure of answering very quickly. Because in a live game, everyone needs to move at the same pace so that we're able to keep people moving together. But in an assigned version, you can turn the timer off because everyone is already just you playing the game at their own pace. They don't need to be in a large meeting at the same time. You can just give them a deadline for, let's say, here's the Kahoot you need to play, and finish this by Friday. You can even leave it open and it doesn't always have to have a deadline, but just to give you an idea of everyone can play it whenever they have time, but you'll still have final results at a specific date and time. So let's show you the good stuff by hopping into our Kahoot platform and taking a look at the live system. So whenever I log into Kahoot, especially if I'm logging in for the first time, I'll notice that I have a private space and a team space if I have a team subscription. For people who are on the individual subscription, this part really doesn't pop up. But for anybody who's on a company paid subscription, you most likely have a team plan, and you're going to have a private space, which is a free space available to you, completely cut off from the team space. And you can play Kahoot games in there that are not going to be part of the shared workspace. But for the team workspace, this is usually where the company paid subscriptions are. So you want to remember to always go into the team workspace, and that's where your paid features will be. You can see what plan you're on and what organization you're a part of. And then your homepage is kind of your news feed for what's happening in the account. So what Kahoots have been hosted by other people. Like this is one that I hosted on January 10th. I'm the only one in the account that's actively hosting, so it's just my name, but you'll see what other people were doing and what the results were. And then if any Kahoots have been assigned to you as assignments, they'll be listed over here. You can look for materials in the Discover tab. So what I had done earlier today was I searched for a 2023 replay or recap, and then I searched for it. And the first one that popped up, luckily, was a really good one that was created by Kahoot Studio. So we create a lot of materials that are available for completely free, and you can just use them as it is. But you can also search for general subjects. Like that was a very specific name that I knew the file was named that way. But I searched for 2023 and there's a bunch more material in here. I can filter through this content. My favorite filter to do is stuff that was created by business users. And then also things that are specifically in English language. So once I put in those two filters, I can see materials that are more specifically appropriate for me and my use, and I can put in different topics and search for content here. We also have a paid content library called Access Pass. So Discover is completely free material. You can use it as it is. Access Pass is a paid subscription. It's fairly inexpensive. I think it's $30, maybe $40 a year, $36 a year. And you can just go ahead and start that for any specific license in your account. So everybody doesn't need to get it. Specific people who are going to be creating content can get that access so that they're able to find a lot of really good quality content without having to create. So it saves you a lot of time in getting started with fun things that you want to do in your training. The library is where your materials live, things that you've created specifically. And you have your folder in here that's very specifically yours, so no one else has access to it except the admins of the account. And then there's a team folder that's a shared space for everybody. So everyone who has a license to your account is going to be able to access this specific space. So you want to make sure that anything that you need to collaborate on is always stored in here. You can organize this with further subfolders like I have here. So you can have different departments or subjects just based on whatever makes sense for you. But everyone that is a admin or a member in your account is going to have access to this. So Any materials that you're ready to share and you want others to have access to it, they are going to be listed in here. And then anything that you don't want to share yet, if it's not ready for use, if it's still being worked on, you can put that in your My Folder space. So this is where your data is going to live. Now let's take a look at how to create a Kahoot. And once we've created and hosted a Kahoot, we can look at how the reports are generated automatically. So regardless of where you are in the account, the create button is always here at the top, and we're going to be creating a Kahoot. Now, how do we create a Kahoot? Multiple different ways to get started. You can use one of our templates. Start from scratch, use one of our templates, use our AI-powered assistant that generates questions for you on a specific topic, or my favorite, upload your own training material. So our AI-powered Kahoot generator reads through your training material and builds questions off of whatever you've already uploaded. And this is amazing. So if you're creating a training, you're spending all of this time making a presentation, you don't have to spend time making a Kahoot about it or even creating a quiz. The quiz for your training material will be created automatically. For example, if I select this and I go into uploading a file, I can go into my downloads and then pick up this PowerPoint that I created for a deep dive that I hosted on January 10th. And it was about kickoff meetings. So based on my materials that I've created, it's automatically giving me questions. What is one benefit of having a kickoff meeting? Creates a sense of team spirit. I'm going to add that because I like that question. What can participants do during a kickoff meeting? They can ask questions. I'm going to add that. So I can go and read through all of the questions that the system has proposed after reading through my training material, and then I can add the ones that I like. Once I've added them, I can also change the question type. So if instead of a multiple choice, if I wanted this one to be a type answer, I can switch that over very easily. So you can accept the questions that the system has generated for you automatically, and then you can change them or modify them the way that you need. You can change the options, you can change the question type, add some media in the middle, and make it look really, really amazing in a very short time. And you don't even have to think about the questions. Especially apart from the questions, I feel like half my battle is always coming up with the wrong answer options apart from what the right answer is. If I want to go back and use because I might have multiple presentations. So if I want to go back and use the PDF to Kahoot feature again, I can just click on add questions, go to question generator, and upload a new file. So I can have one Kahoot that has several different files that I have used for creating questions. I can also just use the AI assisted question generator by giving it a prompt. For example, I just say, give me questions about Kahoot. And then it's going to give me a bunch of different questions. I think I didn't type that right. Let's say winter. What season follows fall? Winter. What is the coldest season of the year? Why in winter? Snow. So a lot of the questions, or all of the questions that I used today, the winter solstice, the coldest temperature, those came from Kahoot. So I can go ahead and kind of keep changing the prompt a little bit, and it will change the questions that are being offered. So this saves you a lot of time from scratch to first draft, and you can spend your time in actually creating the presentation and the training material instead of trying to come up with questions about it. The system will create the questions for you. We can also then create slides in here or import slides from your computer. Once you have your questions and your slides both in here, you can move them around to arrange them in the way that you need to have them. And once you're happy with what the Kahoot flow looks like, you can go into settings, name the Kahoot, give it a thumbnail. And my favorite part, if you want to add a video to the lobby, which is the waiting space when everyone's joining the Kahoot, where you see the game pin and you're able to scan the QR code and join, and you see your name popping up as you've joined. That lobby space, you can have a video playing in there. So if you're able to put your video on YouTube or grab any video that's already on YouTube, this is a really good way to have people wait for everybody to join in and not have to make small talk. This is also where you can organize where you're going to be saving your Kahoot. So for example, if this was a Kahoot for Webinar 101, I will put that in here with all of my other files. I can also select a theme. So for the one that we're playing right now, I have the winter theme applied. So whatever's happening in the world, you can generally find a theme related to that over here. Or if this is a business presentation, you can go ahead and create your own themes. For example, this one, this is for my Kahoot deep dives. You can also see it on my background right now. So I have the same image here and then also here. So I can go ahead and create a theme for myself by uploading my company's logo, a background image that I need, and whatever my brand colors are for contrast purposes. So this can look a lot like my company instead of just generic Kahoot. Just looking at some of the questions, Becky asked, will I be able to tell when the self-paced Kahoot is completed? Yes, you will be. And that's going to be the next thing that we look at now. So once you're done creating your Kahoot and you save the file, what happens next? Next up, you can go ahead and play the Kahoot. So what we did today was we hit start and went into classic mode and launched the Kahoot. You can also do assign. And once you're assigning a Kahoot, that's when you can decide if it has a deadline. It could also just not have one. But if it has a deadline, what is the deadline going to be? What time? Who can see the results or responses that are being submitted for this assignment? Do you want to have that game be timed when someone logs in to play, or can it be completely at their own pace? Do you want to grab their email address? If they're using the iOS or Android app, do you want the app to remind them of the questions that they got wrong so they can practice and learn the right answers? That's called personalized learning, but it's specific for the app, doesn't work on the browser. Do you want to randomize the question answers? And this little one is really fun. It's a nickname generator that gives people funny names so they don't have to type in their actual name for the front end display of the game. Once an assignment is created, this is how you can invite people to play through that assigned Kahoot. You can assign it through an email. So just email it out to people. You can grab this URL and send it to everybody, or you can print out this QR code or save this QR code file and send it to people. My favorite way is assigning through email, because once you add people in through emails, they appear in the list at the bottom, and then you can see what their status was. Oh, I hit cancel for some reason. Add email, assign, send invite. I don't need to customize that email, but I can if I want to. Now they're listed here at the bottom, so I can see whether they've started or not. Whenever I come back to this report, I'll be able to see if they've started or not. And then I can also send them a reminder if I want. And all of my options for getting people to play are still available, so I can copy this, paste this in chat. So if you wanted, you can open this up and see what it looks like. It's the Kahoot file for the deep dive training that we hosted. So if you click on that link, you'll be able to see what that assignment experience feels like. And then as people play through the game, the reports get populated in real time. So I'm hosting a Kahoot right now, and we haven't even finished playing that. But if I go into stuff hosted by me, under live games, this is what we're playing in that other window. And all of your responses, whatever you've submitted so far, has already been recorded. So reports get populated in real time. And once someone is done playing through the Kahoot and the deadline has expired, you will be notified and you can come back and look at the reports. But even as they're playing, even before the deadline, the Kahoot report will continue to get updated as people play through it. So returning to our Kahoot game, I like pointing out that at this point, we've been away from the Kahoot game for a good 10 minutes. And because we haven't been active, your cell phone screen may have gone to sleep. And when you wake it up, it might say reconnecting for maybe 5 seconds. The next screen, if in your Kahoot, the next screen is a question, people will lose those 5 seconds while they're reconnecting. So whenever you've walked away from Kahoot and you're coming back, just remember to tell the system or tell the players that, hey, wake up your devices because the next question or next slide that I'm going to is a question. And the question is, how many question types does Kahoot offer? 11 is the right answer. Kahoot offers 11 different question types, 5 under the testing knowledge segment and 6 under the collect opinion segment. The scoreboard hasn't changed much. Next up, another quiz type question. This one is multi-select, and this is about self-paced Kahoots. What do you think they would be a great tool for? So self-paced Kahoots are Kahoots where you don't need to have a live class, you don't need to have people present in real time. And yes, they would be a good fit for pretty much everything. Pre-training evaluations, post-training surveys, non-trainer-led sessions, all of the above. Scoreboard changes a little bit. These are the additional game modes that we tried out in the start of the game. So just highlighting that you can play Kahoot in a classic or team mode. The team mode is still very similar to classic, but you can divide audience into different teams. You can name the teams. You can decide how many teams there are, and then you can have them play against each other. So the scoreboard's based on team names instead of individual names, as you're seeing right now. But it's still, the experience is very much like the classic mode. The scoreboard's based off of team names. But these are very different, the additional game modes, and I highly recommend trying those out for review activities or summary games or just an energizer at the start or end of the day. I know Andy has been answering your questions throughout the session, but if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask those right now or add them in the chat. While you're thinking of your questions, I'm going to go ahead and ask you a couple more. How well do you feel like you know Kahoot right now? Do you feel like you learned something, know it a little bit better? Okay, so slightly better, a lot better. We learned something. And then another open-ended question, what was your one key takeaway from today's session? Something specific that you learned that you didn't know before, or was a good idea that popped up? Any ideas that we were able to generate today? And while you answer that, someone asked in the Q&A, are there instructions to copy paste into the Zoom chat to help the players understand what they should do or expect? I'm assuming this is for just general instructions on how to join the game and how to play through it. We generally just say you can join the game by going to kahoot.it or the mobile app and putting in the game pin, or by scanning the QR codes, just general instructions on how to join and then answer questions on the screen. We don't have any specific text for it, but the instructions are quite simple on how to join. What the sample that we have, Andy, if you could post that in chat, just the stuff that we share, which is, this is how you can join the game. So one key takeaway was more of the already prepared games. And then someone says, I have lots to learn, love all of the game options. That's exciting. We have Kahoot deep dive webinars that happen every second Wednesday of the month. So next one's going to be on February 14th, which I've misspelled, at 9 a.m. And this one's going to be about how to create engaging employee training with courses. So courses are multi-step learning journeys. You can have Kahoots as well as PDF documents, videos, presentations, all combined together in the same space so that you don't have to jump between different platforms. It's organized, it's structured, and people can go through it either on their own pace or you can host it live. So we're going to be discussing that on February 14th in our deep dive webinar. If you have any specific requests on what you want to learn more about, this could be, I do this kind of training. I do compliance trainings twice a month. What can we do for that? So any specific things that you want to learn about, please throw that in here. This is how we get inspired to design our different webinars. Again, this is the 101. So this happens every fourth Wednesday of the month. And then there is a deep dive that happens every second Wednesday of the month. The 101 is pretty structured in the same way because we're just showing people how to get started. The deep dive is where we can get creative and show you how to solve for specific real life scenarios or problems. So this is going to be a good one to give suggestions for. And if there's anything that you want to learn specifically, we always take that into account. We got a lot of feedback about learning how to create courses in Kahoot, and that's why that's the next subject. So let's see, what did people say? Not sure yet. No ideas, but the session was amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am glad that it was useful. This is to just show you how the brainstorm question works. I wanted you to experience this because you have experienced all of the other poll or collect opinion type questions. So you know how in polling, you give people options and then they vote on it, but the options are coming from you as the creator of the content. Brainstorm is a really good question type because it lets you ask an open-ended question and then people give their responses, and then whatever responses have been received, you can have the audience vote on that. So it's a stronger version of poll. It lets you hear the audience, and then once you've collected their opinions, you can have them decide what the popular opinion was. So this idea is what got all the votes, which is thank you so much. This got a golden badge. We have golden, silver, and bronze badges. So however many votes are offered, the system automatically counts those and shows you. It's really great for walking away with a decision. In a real life classroom, if you have 20 people, it's really hard to listen to everyone's opinion one by one, because if they take 1 minute each, 20 minutes are gone. But this way, within a minute, everyone's opinion is on the screen. And within another minute, everyone's opinion is voted on and you have a decision, democratic, popular decision. That is all I had for you today. Thank you so much for joining and spending this hour with us, and happy Kahooting. Here's the scoreboard. MB in the third position. Noe in the second position. And Kahoots takes it away. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you spending your time with us. And hopefully we'll see you in the next deep dive webinar, which is going to be on February 14th, 9 a.m. Also, if you have any specific requests or questions, you can reach out to us at csmworkusa@kahoot.com. I'm putting that in chat if you want to grab it. And if you have any specific questions and you don't have a specifically assigned customer success manager, you can throw those questions in here. If you have technical questions, we always have our technical support team that's available to assist you at help@kahoot.com. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your week.